Tearjerkers, Tommy. Films that make you cry. Films that take you out. That put you. They get you all in the emotions. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're Rushmore right now.
It's going to be a very emotional week, so get your tissues ready. And before you start crying, please go on over and hit that subscribe button for us. We're going to get right into it. Should I kick it off? What do you think?
Kick it off, Tommy. It's you. You're there.
All right, it's going to be really interesting to see what makes us tick and what makes us cry. For me, right off the bat, I think this is the first movie that I ever cried to, and that is the famous underdog football story, Rudy. There's something about when Rudy hits the field and he finally makes it, and he's on the field and he makes that big play after all the bullshit he went through. Everybody told him he couldn't do it. And then he goes and he makes a play and the place goes nuts. Man, I lose it at that moment. And it's just a great comeback story for all the little people little engines that could out there.
Slow clap.
Man, I love it. I love it.
It's a great pick.
And you know what? This will probably be a double Rushmore because I'm sure once we do sports movies, it's definitely going to be on somebody's Rushmore.
Sure. That's definitely going to. That could be that might even have the ability to be like a triple Rushmore because that might be on somebody's favorite, movies, or could be something more. Who
inspirational
knows?
Movies. It's on a Rushmore of inspirational movies.
Yeah, it's true. All right, I like that. D, what do you got? You go. I'm pulling up last here.
Okay. This movie is definitely a tearjerker for me. It's a sci-fi film, but it's a tearjerker. It made me, once I watched the film, it was I really wanted to have a little girl. And that's Interstellar. My wife was pregnant at the time when the movie came out.
Great.
And I didn't know what the sex of our baby was going to be. And I was like, the connection between Matthew McConaughey's character and his daughter was like, it just really, really, really teared me up, man.
Wow, I like
it's one of my favorite movies of all time, dude.
That is out of nowhere. I need to rewatch that movie.
It's a beautiful film, man. It's
beautiful. Beautifully shot. It's a beautiful film. Obviously, all the top of the top are in it. And I don't know.
I mean, if you're gonna cry to anyone, wouldn't you want to cry to Matthew McConaughey? I mean,
of course.
I would cry to him anytime.
It made me want to be a girl dad, man. That movie, it really hit me right there. So there we go. I was blessed with a little girl.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'll keep it in. I'll keep it in the in the thing as someone who has two little sons, and I did definitely see this way before that, but I just thought about like this was a movie that hit me a lot after it, and it gets me every time. And my thing with I want to say this quick: there are movies that are made specifically to like tear your heart out. We'll go into those after this, probably on the Patreon show. That it's almost like a trick, like they made it to and I don't fall for it. I want those movies that unexpectedly like hit you, but it's still like an incredible movie, but there's parts in it that just tear you up. And my first one is Pursuit of Happiness. Pursuit of Happiness.
I had that. You got me.
My goodness. Pursuit of Happiness with Will. And obviously, specifically, the scene when they're in the bathroom and he has his leg on the door and he's trying to get his son to sleep. But when he tells you, when he's talking to his son and teaching him and telling him that, what people tell you can't do stuff, all this. And it's, and then obviously at the end when he gets it and the teardrop, it's throughout the film. It's a great film, but it's also got you on this emotional roller coaster the whole time. So that is, to me, one of my favorite films, one of my favorite performances. And
maybe Will Smith's best role too, man. I mean, you can argue for sure.
I remember that was the year Will was supposed to win the Oscar. Everybody had him pegged for that one. He didn't win.
That's a double Rushmore for Will too.
It is.
That's a Will movie double Rushmore too. So to me, that is. Yeah, he should have won. I don't know what was up that year. Was he nominated?
He was nominated, and just didn't win. We'll discuss deeper on the Patreon, and we'll talk about who did win that year. And
I got to get a backup now because that was.
So that was going to be. Well, we had overlap. Look at that. All right.
Yeah, it's funny. Before the show, we discussed. We were like, we don't think we're going to have any overlap on this show. And sure enough, two picks in, or the first round, we got it.
All right. What do you got? Number two.
Number 2, I'm gonna go switch it up. We're gonna go with I'm a big history buff, so we're gonna go back in time for this one. It's the story of the first ever Black Regiment. That is Glory, and that is Denzel Washington. Man, what a fucking movie that is! There's a moment that I lose it every time.
Morgan,
You know, the really like horrible, terrible, racist Union Regiment guys. You know, they're terrible to the 54th. The whole movie, they're assholes to them. And then finally, like when they're ready to do the unthinkable, which is attack this fort and be the very first wave, the guy stands up, the biggest dick of them all, and he's like, "Give him hell, 54." And like, in that moment, I'm like, I'm done right there. When they kind of get their moment, and what a great film that is. If you haven't seen Glory and you like war movies, whew, Morgan Freeman,
Agreed.
so good.
Matthew Broderick.
yeah,
Matthew Broderick. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm gonna follow up on number 2. You know, since I started out the first one with my daughter, since she's the oldest, I'm gonna go chronologically. My son, and that's the Lion King.
Ooh, nice.
Simba.
Scar. When that happens,
Mm-hmm.
whoo!
Oh man.
Fucking hyena.
I looked over at my son. He had little tears coming out. I was like, oh man.
Little lion tears coming down.
Mm-hmm.
That I mean, and that gets you. I've seen it on Broadway. I've seen it like, you know, you see anything to do with Lion King, you just think of Mufasa and you're out. Wrecked.
Circle of life, man.
Especially when Simba like tries to wake him up and he's not waking up.
Oh,
Like,
come on.
Yeah, that's a tearjerker movie if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah, I would think, I got to say, without knowing much, that's got to be on many people's Rushmore because that movie devastates people. You know what I mean? Like just globally, like that's a devastating. I don't think the live action did it any justice, but the animated one is.
Yeah, agreed.
That's a good one. That's a good number 2. My number 2 is probably not on many people's, but it impacted me for a multitude of reasons. I was younger. It's one of the reasons I wanted to get into this crazy business. You know, I was in it, I believe, when it came out. I'd have to look at the year or if it was right around the time when the thoughts started hitting my head. And there's a couple of scenes in it. My favorite actor of all time is got the Oscar for it, and that is Robin Williams and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. And in that film, which there's a scene where Will is getting in the therapy with him, and he's telling him it's not your fault, and he's kind of going up against him. The film I'm talking about is Good Will Hunting, by the way. And when Robin's character is telling him it's not your fault, and he's getting closer, and he's really like deflecting on that, and like that movie, that moment for me destroyed me, you know, because it was just a kid who was going through all this stuff and didn't have the right things in his life to make him, but yet he was this genius. And there was just so many things that I felt about that film that I felt as the time where I was in my life. And I thought Robin Williams was, I think it's his best work that he's ever done ever. And just the whole story with the movie and everything about it is incredible. It's an incredible film.
Excellent choice, man.
It wrecks me.
Yeah.
The movie wrecks me every time. When he yells at her, just wrecks me.
Even when he's talking about his wife, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a rewatch for me. I haven't seen it in a while. I need to rewatch
I watch it
again.
all the time. Yeah. I watch it on every plane ride when it's on. I mean, just to catch parts of it, because again, full movies, laugh, cry, you know, everything about it, great ending. They stick the landing, just, you know, and then knowing the story and how motivating
what I love about that movie too, and you know, this is as you get older, you start to kind of think about these things, but like that's a true like 90s movie. Like when you watch that movie, it's like, oh, okay, like the clothing, the everything, it's like it's the heart of the 90s. So like I feel like, you know, as we revisit those movies 20 years later, we're like, that's a real nice 90s movie right there.
And again, not to go too long on it, the story how they did it.
Oh,
The
it's
movies they were in
phenomenal.
before, them writing it. I lived in I lived in Eagle Rock in California for a long time, and 2 houses away was the house they all lived in where they wrote it.
Oh wow.
And then, right down the block was the Sizzler that they went to when they won the Oscars, and they all celebrated at the Sizzler right down the block in Eagle Rock. And it was this whole thing of I would jog and walk by that every day with my dogs, and it was motivating to me as a young actor of like, that's that house. That's where they did it. That's where they all were living. All of them were living in there at the time. And it just, so again, the movie has many layers outside of the movie, and I just think it's a phenomenal story. What do you got, Tommy? Number 3.
Right, so number 3, for me, it seems like as I look at this, all the sports movies really get me. So I'm going to keep that tone going. Rocky gets me to cry, man. There's something about, here's the moment that gets me. Rocky's just went 15 rounds with the greatest fighter on the planet. The entire world wants a minute of his time. They're all swarming him in the ring. And the only person he wants to talk to is Adrian. Like, that's the only thing that matters to him is Adrian in that moment. Not like the fact that he just went the distance, like just his woman. It's like just a true, wonderful love story. And I think that that's the part that people often forget about Rocky. To me, it's a love story. That's what the whole thing is, a love story between Rocky and Adrian.
Well,
that moment ices it,
It's love story for her, for Adrian, but it's also love story for his commitment to, to fight the world champion, to go the distance and everything too. So it's like a double love story, the passion and everything.
It's to me like it's a perfect film. I mean, you could fast forward a few of the films. I don't think I ever mentally recovered from Mickey, like that moment, like that whole thing with Mickey, like just the way it went down, where Rock's like faces on him, and like, I mean, as a
that's
younger,
3, right?
That's
3. That's in 3, right? Yeah,
that took me out like that. Yeah, I love.
But
3.
it's funny, man.
I would argue 3 is my favorite. People can.
I was gonna say that, man.
You get so much, dude.
I would get
talk more about this.
3 and 4 still too.
But bro, you get so much for your money in 3 in terms of like you get wrestling, you get
production.
We're going to talk about.
We'll talk about that in Patreon.
Save it for the Patreon.
I could do an
Bottom
entire
line
show
is,
about 3.
My last note on this Rocky moment is we make fun of that Adrian. We make fun of it all the time. It's been parodied so much in pop culture. But that moment, like he's just screaming out for her, like he just needs to see her after
and you're
all.
A wreck. You're watching it. Like, you're a wreck.
That's all that he wants to see, and it's amazing, man.
It's great. All right, what do you got, D? Number 3.
Oh man, my number 3 was the first movie I ever saw at a drive-in theater. My mom took me. I believe I was like 4 years old, and that is E.T. The extraterrestrial. The extraterrestrial. The extraterrestrial. The extraterrestrial.
I saw the extraterristrial.
I've seen the extraterristrial. That was a different one. That was
that
was not a drive-in.
No.
That's a great movie. Yeah, man. Whew, how could you not just lose it when Elliot and E.T. get split up there at the end?
The whole thing, everything that goes down in that makeshift hospital, like that whole thing is like when the flower comes back and all. We watch it all the time here, and
Same.
it will hurt you. That movie. It will hurt your soul. And again, going back to the other stuff, then you're laughing. You saw that at a drive-in when you were young?
That's awesome. Man. I was 4 years old, man.
That
was the first drive-in movie. Yeah, man.
What an amazing movie to remember seeing at a drive-in. That's amazing. Like that, I can't imagine.
There's like an outer space theme, and you have like the stars.
And you're outside at night.
What movies from that moment on, man?
That was your moment to fall in love with movies.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, that is, you talk about someone at their superpowers. That's Spielberg at full blown.
Peak Spielberg, man.
All the superpowers. Like that is like he was
still having fun.
Just still having fun. Yeah. What am I at 3? All right. Yeah, because I'm batting cleanup. My 3rd is a movie from 1993 that not a lot of people have seen. It's had a dramatic effect in my life. I think about it a lot, especially again with having kids. I know that changes a lot, but I definitely saw this way before I had children. Wrecked me then, wrecks me now. Watch it a good amount, probably more than I should. And it's a movie called My Life with Michael Keaton and Nicole Kidman. If Nobody's seen it or
No,
heard
I
of
do
it.
remember that. Is that?
I
that is a
remember.
dog
I don't
man,
think
right?
I've seen it though.
Yeah, she's just to give you a really quick synopsis. They find out she's pregnant. She's
Mhm.
gonna have their son, and then he finds out that he has terminal cancer, and that he's
Right.
gonna go. So he decides to start recording his
He
life.
makes a video.
He makes a ton of videos, like hundreds of videos for his son to watch when he's not going to be there. And it's that whole roller coaster of emotions. And of course, you think right away, and especially for me, as someone who grew up without a father around and this and that, I was like, man, I wish there were videotapes of someone telling me how to shave, what kind of music to be into, what to do, how to have manners. And he's doing it all in these videotapes, knowing he's not going to be there. And Michael Keaton is extraordinary in this film. It's just an incredible film. I wasn't super familiar with Nicole Kidman at the time. Obviously, I knew Michael Keaton was, because it's only a few years past Batman '89, right? And it's but it's just an absolutely incredible movie. It rips my heart out. It's like a 20 crier all the time type movie. So if you haven't seen it, give it a watch because it's amazing.
Hey, do we got our little production over there in the corner?
What, this
let's
one?
Let's pop it up. Let's pop it up. Boom, Tearjerkers.
Tearjerkers. I hope it's one word. If it's not, it is now. All right, Tommy, what do you got? Number 4.
All right, pulling up the rear in this salty affair. I'm going to go with this was a movie that starred Macaulay Culkin right back in the prime of Macaulay Culkinism. And it was a shocker. And that movie is My Girl. And the reason why this movie was so shocking, starring Dan Aykroyd and Macaulay Culkin, and I forgot the name of she was terrific, but the name of she was a girl at the time in the movie. This was a really wonderful little coming of age story that throws the hardest curve in the dirt at you at the end when Macaulay Culkin is stung by bees and he dies because he's allergic to bees. And nobody's seeing that shit coming.
Spoilers.
Yeah, hey man, if you haven't seen My Girl, come on. It's been 1992.
Anna Chlumsky.
Anna Chlumsky's phenomenal in the movie. And it's just such a curveball because, like I said, you were used to like Home Alone had just come out. So like Macaulay Culkin's America's
Richie Rich.
The little boy version of Shirley Temple. Yeah, America's Richie Rich.
Yeah.
And they killed him. So that one was sad.
Yeah, no, I like that call a lot, man. I saw that.
I haven't shown it to the kids yet. Yeah, I haven't shown
it. They're ready for it.
I don't think they're ready. They're 6 and 8. I don't think they're ready for it.
Yeah,
that's
a little heavy, probably.
It's heavy.
Here's what's weird about it. One last note on that. Like, Dan Aykroyd is really great in the movie, and he plays a funeral director. And I remember like that being the first time, like you see like Macaulay Culkin's funeral and everything. And as a little kid, like I was probably 7 or 8. I hadn't even been to a funeral. So just like seeing the funeral process was like very eerie and sad for me as a kid.
Yeah. Man, I guess for my 4th, man, I'm gonna go unconventional here. I saw this movie. Well, it's actually a doc. I saw this last year, I believe. One of my favorite actors of all time, and it's called Val. A story about Val Kilmer and about his love and passion for movies. Bro, I was thinking about that movie for like a week after I watched it every day, man. It ripped my soul out, man.
I think me too.
Yeah, we were. Yeah,
every part of my life out that movie. What a doc!
Yeah,
great call.
It's so good.
I don't know
man.
if it fits
especially if you're in the business.
But I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a.
No,
it was a tearjerker for me, man.
Docs work.
Docs count.
Yeah, why not?
It's a good one. All right.
Hey, look, it was a tearjerker for me, man. It ripped me apart, bro. Especially if you're in the business.
Right.
If you're in the business as well, and you have passion for this business that we're in, and coming up in the the 80s and 90s, man, and like kind of where he's at now, it just. He was a megastar, man, and just
megastar.
Huge star.
Doors and literally a million movies, Real Genius, and everything else after Willow. I could just keep saying, but that doc really, like, I think it reminded everyone. They're like, hey, by the way, just so you know, Doc Holliday, who you thought disappeared and all that, let me just show you everything and let me rip your heart out while we're doing it. Great pick. I didn't know documentaries were on the docket, as they say, but I think there is no rules here. It's Rushmore. There's no rules.
You gave me a great idea for my honorable mention.
Yeah. Well, then I got to finish it off with a film that I think about a lot, especially as you get older, and really takes you on an incredible journey. It's a film we talk about here a lot. I can't wait for my kids to be able to watch it. It's a film called Big Fish. If you haven't seen it, it's a man on his deathbed and the story of his life. Absolutely incredible. Albert Finney and Billy Crudup and what's his name? Train Spotting. I forget everybody's name because it's late and I'm whatever. But just absolutely amazing rewatch value. Holds up incredibly. The graphics that they do in the flashback, and you thinking that this guy is always telling these tall tales, and then the way it ends, and it really just rips you apart. But again, it's the journey of a life and what a life means and what is the things that are important in life. And Big Fish is all of that. I know they've made a play on it. I saw it on Broadway after it. And it's just a film that means a lot to me. So that's my number 4. Tommy, we're in honorable mention mode at this point.
All right, let's break them out. These are the ones that don't totally make us cry, but maybe they get a little bit of watery eye action. Maybe they
Before you do it, tell us your 4. Do you know your 4? Do you remember? Can you go back that far? Can you go back?
I can go back that far. Give me a second. All right, here we go. We're gonna come out with it. Rudy, Rocky, Glory. And of course, the 4th one was My Girl. How do you like that? Whoa, hot shooter.
See, what about your 4?
My 4 was Interstellar, Lion King, E.T., and Val.
Ooh, mine's gonna be hard to remember. Pursuit of Happiness. This is not gonna be in order. Good Will Hunting, Big Fish, and what was my other one?
My Life.
More, bud.
My Life.
Thank you. There's my 4. All right, Tommy, honorable mention. Honorable
mention. So Dee gave me the wonderful idea to go into the world of documentary space because I love documentaries as well. And I thought of an actual moment when I'm watching the Andre the Giant documentary.
Great call.
And I'm watching this moment where Vince McMahon is just like forcing Andre to get surgery so that he could get out there for one more WrestleMania, being the big famous WrestleMania 3, and I just lost it, man. I just got so sad thinking of kind of like what a circus animal Andre was treated like at times. And, I just got that real circus animal vibe. You know, how you kind of look at a lion behind a cage sometimes and you're like, you don't want to be back there, do you, buddy? You don't. Just drag him out, put him in a new town, do your thing, put him back in the cage, take him to the next town. So it really made me kind of feel for not just Andre, but a lot of professional wrestlers. It's a great documentary if you haven't seen it.
And the travel that he had to endure, like not being able to get in a seat on a plane, and
it was tough for Andre.
Man, that's a good doc. I've seen it. Yeah, it's really good, really well made.
Me too. I love it.
I'm going to throw out 2 here. Two of my favorites. First would be Green Mile with Tom Hanks, Michael Clark Duncan. Really great film if you haven't seen it. And the other would be Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore and Whoopi Goldberg and Ghost.
Nice pick.
Nice pick. Holds up. Watch it all the time. Love it. Patrick
Great love story,
Swayze.
man.
There's a reason why people call it Swayze in hip hop. I mean, he is the G. He is the one. Swayze is like as cool as it gets.
Maybe want to learn how to make pottery.
Pottery.
Like what a great way to
go. Best bad guy in the beginning ever. Yeah.
That guy's creepy looking.
Creepy. Good movie. Whoopi Goldberg, I think, won the Oscar for that.
She did.
Yeah. What would I say? My honorable mention. I mean, I guess just because I have to, because I think that it is the goat of goats of like what it makes you feel. And it's probably unexpected, but I'll go 2 just because you just did, and I'm just gonna say them quick. I think Titanic is a heartbreaker at the end. I mean, I think Titanic is a killer.
Really?
Oh man, I think Titanic beats you up if you're invested in the story.
What's going on?
If you're invested, and Jack goes.
Spoiler alert.
What?
Spoiler
What's going
alert,
on your
that might
worst?
go on
Oh,
my
is
reverse.
it going this way? Are you
That might
reversing
go
it,
on my
Tommy?
reverse. Yeah, man.
Wow.
Listen, how you gonna be
No,
surprised?
no,
that-
don't do it now. Don't do it now. Save
I'll
it.
save
This is
it.
not the platform. And then
I'm saving it.
and then I'm going to say another movie that maybe is unexpected coming from me, but I think that it's really not the part of the story that you think. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to pivot. Pivot quick.
We got
It's a movie that I definitely know a lot of people haven't seen, so it's going to be pointless for me to say, but it's an incredible John Cassavetes film called I was going to say a Nick Cassavetes film, but I'm going to say a John Cassavetes film, and it's called A Woman Under the Influence, and it's an absolutely incredible movie, an incredible performance, and it is a
Gina Rowlands.
Gina
we're
Rowlands,
gonna get
Gina
shit
Rowlands,
for?
and it's a heartbreak. Yeah.
we're gonna get shit for not mentioning Beaches.
Oh,
Remember
it's a
that was,
great
like,
movie.
almost-
We watch it all the
remember,
time.
But remember,
Beaches
Beaches
is
was
great,
almost a
man.
punchline for like
Oh
a sad
yeah,
movie.
but that we're going to go into on the Patreon.
That might be the
One-
saddest one of the saddest movies
Yeah.
of all time, man.
And
The
I
Wind
think-
Beneath My Wings. Remember?
Oh.
Come on, bro.
Ooh.
Great song, man.
Yeah, you
We
listen
had-
to
we had to
Warren.
mention
Listen to
Beaches.
Warren Treaty's version of "Wind Beneath My Wings." If you
Those
know
lyrics
Warren,
are so powerful,
listen to
man.
Warren Treaty's cover; it's amazing. All right, that's it. That's the Tearjerkers. There's a few honorable mentions. Tommy is about to go ham on Titanic and say why he doesn't like
Oh,
it.
I got an iceberg for your ass.
Yeah, D just wanted to add an honorable mention of a commercial he saw once to add to it. He thinks that fits it.
It was an AT&T spot.
Yeah, it was an AT&T commercial once.
Hey,
All right, go subscribe.
make sure you get you a big bowl of ice cream when you're watching this with your Tearjerkers, man.
Yeah,
You gotta have
get
ice
your
cream to go with it, okay?
Yeah, and head on over to our Patreon to see the rest of the show. We're going there right now. All right, y'all.
Bye, guys.